Hi, this is Clay Richardson, Chief Accelerator with Digital FastForward. I wanted to share with you some tips on one of the top challenges I hear from innovation leaders trying to accelerate transformation innovation throughout their organization. This comes from a series of masterclasses that I've hosted around low-code transformation. And one of the top challenges I hear from innovation leaders is around expanding low-code adoption throughout the enterprise. Many leaders that I've been talking to in these low-code masterclasses, they're trying to adopt low-code as a way to get more people involved in driving digital innovation, driving digital transformation throughout their organization. And for those of you that aren't familiar with low-code is a concept that focuses on empowering developers and non-developers with visual drag and drop tools so that you can get more applications, more digital apps out in less time. It's all about really not requiring people to be developers with traditional computer science backgrounds. Me and my colleague at the time, John Reimer, coined the term low code based on a lot of the research that we were doing around these new platforms that we saw emerging that just allowed people that did not have a computer science background to be able to build pretty sophisticated apps. What I want to do is take a minute and share just really debunk some common misconceptions around low code that slow its adoption in the enterprise. But then B, what I also want to share is some tips on how you can jumpstart building your low code transformation playbook. So the first myth is this myth that low code is just about citizen development and citizen developers. And a lot of this comes from the research. I might have played into some of that myth, but one of the things that we were clear on when we first started the research around low code, and is even more evident today, is that low code is not just about empowering citizen developers to build throwaway applications. And while low code does support citizen developers, what we've seen is low code, when it's adopted at an enterprise level, is really about empowering all developers and allowing everyone to participate in development, whether that's someone who's never done coding, never gone through a computer science program. Empowering these non-developers that's the low-hanging fruit. But where there's also big opportunity with low code is empowering pro developers. And this is a big issue because this myth or misconception around low code being all about citizen developers, it's really created this mindset in pro developers that low code is for people who don't know how to develop. They look at it as a crutch or something that less able developers should use. Nothing could be farther from the truth. All of the low code platforms today have the ability to build and scale to the enterprise. And so don't think of low code as just this platform that you give to non-developers. It can do that, but you got to start thinking of it more strategically as a platform that enables all developers. And so that's a real big piece that you want to be thinking about if you're going to roll out low code to the enterprise. The second piece is this whole concept of vendor lock-in, right? And so a lot of times we see teams strategically or leaders strategically not embrace low code fully at an enterprise level because they believe if they put their strategic applications in low code, that would lock them in and make it really impossible if they need to transition to something else. Why I think this is important to tackle head on as a misconception is the trade-off you get in speed versus lock-in is really enormous, right? When we talk about speed, being able to build new enterprise strategic applications in 3 to 6 months, if you're building on low code versus 1 to 2 years, you have to think about that, right? And in today's environment, just the hyper competitive nature of a lot of, like, give you an example, a lot of banks we see having, and traditional banks having to compete with upstart fintechs, right? And so if you're competing with an upstart fintech who has this arsenal of development talent, in a lot of cases, they're using low code to rapidly prototype and get new solutions out or iterate on ideas. And you're still doing this glacial pace, traditional application development. Who's going to win, right? Regardless of where you sit, size of organization, you have to start thinking of low code in terms of, it's not about technical debt, it's not about vendor lock-in, it's about speed. And so we have to really dial in this whole notion that the investment in low code is about being able to move, iterate faster, get ideas out, and scale to the enterprise very rapidly. Does it mean you build everything in low code? No, it doesn't. And I think that's really an important factor. But it does mean when you're looking to get strategic apps out and you're needing to get them done quickly, low code gives you the ability to quickly build, ideate, and scale. And so just remember those three words: build, ideate, and scale. One of the things that's critical to understand is you can have a hybrid approach where you're using a low code, particularly for pro developers, you're using low code as in a hybrid way where you may be doing some drag and drop configuration while you're doing some custom coding. That's why we termed it low code, is coined that as the term, because it's rare, even in citizen development, where it's all going to be done as no code, where there's no coding at all. And so you just need to work through that. And this is something I recommend to teams that are adopting low code at an enterprise level, is just to give guardrails around when do we use low code and what level do we bring in low code, depending on how strategic the app is. The last piece that I want to share, this is really critical. I want you to write this down, okay? Is low code, this misconception that low code is just technology. It's just about, hey, we're going to buy this this platform that's going to allow us to do drag and drop, and we're going to be 100% good to go. Low code is really a methodology, and it's also a leadership discipline, right? When we talk about low code, I think the misnomer is that since it has code in the name, it's really just about a tactical purchase and getting developers to develop in this way, right? And develop using this platform. What I've seen in working with leaders, definitely over the last year, is this need to transition to low code as a leadership discipline, as a leadership mindset, okay? And when we say that, it really at the foundation, it's ultimately about being able to accelerate digital delivery, accelerate digital transformation. We know going forward that there are not enough developers to get all of the digital transformation and digital business applications built, right? There's just not enough developers. This pace of digital acceleration has picked up. And so we have to move beyond thinking of low code as just a technology. It has to be that leadership mindset, which says, I, as a CEO or as a CIO, my role and how I get measured is based on how much of my business I actually transform to be digital, right? And so if you don't have enough development talent, that's the lifeblood in a way of getting new digital applications out. And so we need to be able to do more with less talent. And that's just great resignation. We know that it's so critical to be able to develop, deliver quickly, and iterate. Low code as a leadership discipline is just a strategic directive. And so that's the last misconception I want you to think about and really focus on in terms of how do you scale low code to the enterprise is ultimately you become a low code leader. The mindset of low code is just like reading literacy. Everybody in the organization should be able to code, right? Just like we look at everybody uses spreadsheets now. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, only one part of the organization used spreadsheet. Now everybody uses spreadsheets, right? That's how you have to think about coding. Is this for everybody? We have to embrace coding now as a core capability, a core competency at all levels, all roles of the organization. And so that's a leadership shift. 90% of low code adoption will fail, right? Because it's not adopted as a leadership imperative. It's adopted as just a technology. That's a Clay Richardson Chief Accelerator prediction. If you're either considering low code adoption or adopting low code in the near future, or if you're looking at low code expansion in your organization, take time to assess what are the key strategic outcomes you're trying to get to with low code, and then identify what are those gaps that need to be closed, but what are the core low code capabilities, governance guardrails that need to be put in place. And we're going to include a link to our low code readiness assessment. And so definitely take time to take the assessment and see where you stack up in terms of low code. And then the last thing that I'll recommend is to build out your low code transformation playbook. We shared this in our low code masterclass. We're going to include the link if you want to go either register for a masterclass or you want to get a preview of the masterclass. We're going to include a link for you to get registered for an upcoming masterclass so you can start building out your low code playbook. Right? That's so critical. And it's specifically low code transformation playbook, right? And so that's going to be critical for you to get the ball rolling. And I know for a lot of you out there, this sounds like just the next trend, right? That you need to kind of get smart on and kind of ramp up on. And I'll say this isn't a trend. This at the core is really about how organizations begin to operate at their core at a DNA level digitally, right? So not hype, reality. Look past the name and the label and the term. Yes, I'm proud that I was part of the team that coined the term, but throw that out for a second, right? Ultimately, we know that this ties back to digital literacy in an organization, like digital business literacy and how quickly you can deliver outcomes. And so look past the term, focus on what does it mean for your leadership style and how you accelerate innovation in your organization. This is Clay Richardson signing off. Just until next time, happy innovating.